career, thinking about one's career or how to plan a career or how to make a career. Extremely important because most of our time is spent on working and making a livelihood. So, if we don't have a good career, there are problems. You are spending a lot of time doing something that you don't like and maybe not even making enough money, neither job satisfaction nor monetary satisfaction, and spending a lot of time on this, years and years. So, career is important, crucial, and needs to be thought through, planned, thought about seriously, should be taken seriously, and preparation must be made. Whether somebody is going for an interview, he or she has to prepare, find out enough information about the company, about the position, be well prepared. Even if you want to get into choosing a career or a field, you should know enough about that field. Whether you want to take, even if you say you want to take a competitive exam, then you have to prepare. A lot of time is needed. If you want to get into a good institute, then years of preparation is required. You can't just decide that let me apply for this institute and maybe in a month or 2 or 3 or 4 5 months I'll prepare and crack it. Maybe it will take 2 3 years before you are actually able to crack it, if at all you are able to crack or enter that institute. So time and preparation are essential for all sorts of career related issues, going for an interview or choosing the field that you want to work in. Information is necessary. Find out as much as you can about that particular field. Find out as much as you can about that particular job or that particular company or that particular person that is going to interview you, and all sorts of things. So information is necessary. Don't go by glamorous stuff, or what is glamorous, what sounds glamorous, and trends. Sometimes things may look glamorous on the outside, but they may not actually, the reality might be different. Trends sometimes, you do what everybody else is doing, your friend is doing, and others are doing. Sometimes it works, sometimes you fall flat on your face. So you have to think for yourself. Your closest friend and you are ultimately two different individuals. So everybody has to think for himself. I'll do it because my friend is doing it, others are doing it. No. Sometimes copying and following others may work if you are lucky, and sometimes it doesn't work. It may work for somebody else and it may not work for you, or it will work for nobody because of these various fads and fashions and trends. So always be careful about following fads and fashions and trends. Sometimes the fad is something that is hyped too much, or it's ahead of its time, and hype is created before the right time. So following that can be dangerous, and others somebody follows and somebody loses out and somebody clicks. So think for yourself before jumping on the bandwagon or following or any trend or any fashion. Doesn't matter what your friends are doing and what your classmates are doing, you have to think for yourself. You can't be certain that this will work out or not. So trends are like that. They can work out for everybody concerned, or they may not work out for everybody concerned, or they may not work out for you. So ultimately, individual thinking and applying your mind is important. Basically, to be successful, to have a successful career, generally three things have to fall in place, ideally speaking. You should like what you are doing, you should be good at it, And whatever you like and whatever you are good at, there should be demand for it. There should be an opportunity for that kind of work. You like doing something, you are good at doing that, and whatever you like and whatever you are good at, there is a demand for it. Somebody is willing to pay you for that kind of work or that kind of job. So all three things have to fall into place, ideally. And but of course, these things do change over time. Your likes and dislikes would change. Initially, you will think you will not like this or you will like this. Over a period of time, you may grow to like it or you may start disliking it. So complicated. You change over a period of time. Things change. So your likes and dislikes and preferences also change. Maybe you are not good at something initially, but with practice over time, you can become good at something. So that is a possibility. And opportunities always keep changing. So these things are dynamic, they are in a flux. But three things, if they work out, that is the ideal situation, that is the ideal scenario. And now there are tools like psychometric testing and career counseling. One should try to take advantage of these tools. There are online tests available where you can find out about your aptitude and stuff of that sort. Psychometric tests would tell you what kind of personality or aptitude you have and what would be the right field for you. So basically, something pays well and somebody is doing it and sounds glamorous, but what if you are not the right fit for that job? That particular job requires certain capabilities, certain types, personality characteristics, certain aptitudes, and you don't have it. So then it may be fashionable, others may be succeeding in it, but you may fail at it. So you have to find out about yourself. And psychometric tests would help to some extent. Of course, it's not mathematical that it will give you a complete precise answer. These are only to be used as guidelines. There is no complete precise science here. They can be helpful. And ideally, if you are able to introspect and you know yourself truly well, that is important. You need to do a SWOT analysis. It's like in business, people talk of strategic plan. When they make strategies and all that, they do a SWOT analysis. So even in career thinking, career planning, you should do a SWOT analysis and apply it to yourself. SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Your own strengths, what are you good at? What are your plus points? What are your capabilities? Your weaknesses, your minus points. What are the opportunities? These are the internal part, your personality, your nature. So that you need to introspect, maybe take inputs from others, take psychometric test inputs from friends, relatives, people who know you, can tell you something that you don't know about yourself. Opportunities and threats are out there, external to you, environmental factors. Where is the opportunity? What kind of jobs or these things are in demand now? What are the threats? This particular thing is going to be outdated, or this technology is outdated, and all that. So SWOT analysis is important. Planning or not planning is again a crucial thing, because life doesn't always work out the way you plan. And sometimes, again, there is either strategic growth versus opportunistic growth. You plan for it and you follow that plan. Some people are able to do that, and sometimes you make a plan and the plan doesn't work. So it's very difficult to say what is the right thing. Sometimes you try out various things, you explore various things, and you go by opportunities that are available, and something clicks for you. And sometimes you don't look at opportunities or exploration. You make up your mind that you want to do this and chase that. Now, both these things have their own pros and cons. One can't really say what will work. Sometimes even if you plan, maybe you will end up doing something else. So life is pretty uncertain. And but one has to do thinking about some sort of planning, and also be aware about opportunities. Try to sort of find an ideal mix. Being too rigid about following your plan, maybe you will have to change your plan. And just no thinking and no planning and completely opportunistic thinking, grab whatever you take, maybe you will you will wander, and it will be aimless sort of wandering. and maybe it may not take you to a good place. Maybe you'll end up doing something weird. So some thinking and luck both are necessary. The chance part, the opportunity part, and conscious thinking, some sort of an optimum combination would be ideal and desirable. One important thing is never ever feel guilty about what you are doing. I mean, generally people try to, somebody says, I have done engineering, so I should only do engineering and all that. So that is complete nonsense. There are engineers who end up doing non engineering jobs. People study something because of various reasons. They don't study it because they have basically it is a perfect fit. Many people get into a particular stream of discipline or engineering or something because of fashion, trend, following others, and all that. They don't really know. You might get into engineering without knowing what it's all about. You become an engineer without really learning engineering, without really enjoying it, without really becoming good at it. You could still get a degree and pass. So people don't always, most of the times people do these things. They take up a field of study or they specialize in something, a degree or postgraduate or something, many times without really getting the right fit, understanding what the field is about, whether it is suitable for you and the field, the ideal combination. You don't really look at it. You just get into it because of trends and fashion and many such things. So many times, or this is the standard case. Very few people actually get the right fit. So then there is no need to feel guilty if eventually you end up doing something that you didn't study. You are an engineer and you end up doing a non-technical job. So don't feel guilty and don't ever let anybody make you feel guilty. It's not that simple. Life is not that simple. So you don't have to feel this pressure to be, to be faithful to your field. I studied engineering, so I must do engineering. I studied technical stuff, so I must do technical stuff. That is sort of a betrayal or wasting an engineering college seat. That is nonsense. There is no betrayal. There is no wasting. It's your life, your choice, and things change. And you don't know enough. You never know enough. And you make stupid decisions and wrong decisions. And you need to correct them. So it is not necessary that what you are doing and what you are working on has to be definitely connected and correlated to your education. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Doesn't really matter. As long as you are okay with it, it's not too bad. Ideally, work and money should go together. Job satisfaction and monetary satisfaction, sufficient money and a good job, good work, interesting work, challenging work, ideally. But it is not necessary that happens. Sometimes people end up doing things that they don't like very much but still make good money. And sometimes people do interesting things but don't make too much money. And so luck plays a role. It is not true that you do a good job and money will follow. Not true. There is no such rule. It may happen, it may not happen, it may happen eventually. So don't go by this these are not laws of nature. So nobody really knows. But don't feel guilty. That's the crucial part. Whatever you do, don't feel guilty that, oh, I didn't study this and I'm doing this, or I studied something else and I ended up doing something else. No need to feel guilty. You don't owe it to anybody but to yourself only. You owe it only to yourself. So try to find out and do what you like, or eventually you will have to like what you do. Both are possible. And to succeed, eventually you have to take interest in the job. Even if you end up doing something that you don't like, you to succeed or to make money or to rise in your career, you will have to force yourself to like it, or pay attention to it, do a good job. You have to do a good job. Otherwise, you don't like it, so you are not doing a good job, and that is a recipe for disaster. You don't succeed. So it is not your dream job, not your ideal job. So what? Still, if you want to get paid well, if you want promotion and increments and do well in your job and advance in your career, you have to spend enough time on that subject, whether you like it or not, and try to do a reasonably good job. If that forces you to take interest, then you have to take interest. There is no other option. Sometimes hobbies would help. The work doesn't offer you the joy that it should ideally offer you, then work is a livelihood part. There are other things that you could do after office hours, after work hours, where you find meaning, interesting things to do, interesting hobbies. If work itself, you are passionate about your work, it's very good, excellent. But if you are not passionate about your work, everybody doesn't get that. So then there are hobbies, and you have to have a combination. So you don't always get in the ideal situation. That doesn't necessarily hold true for everybody. Initially in career, there is some exploratory phase where there is some job hopping. You don't stick around too long. You are going to one company, one sector, another sector. So initial 3 4 5 years, you are finding yourself what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So there are changes in sectors, in industries, in companies, and then you find out something and then you settle down, sort of. That's the way it works for most people. So too much job hopping, initially job hopping is okay, but then later on, if you keep on just keep on hopping jobs, then that's not going to be good. That won't look good on your resume or your CV. So some stability is good. There is another flip side to it. When you spend too much time doing one thing, there is a too long tenure, then you get labeled, then you can't switch. The problem is, that is again a problem. So you get branded and you get labeled. If you spend too much time doing one particular kind of job, then you become identified with that job. You are identified as this guy, that guy. So you are a specialist, sort of a thing. And for a specialist, it is very difficult to change a specialty. So you don't get offered different jobs. So you get stuck to that. You can get out of it. If you are doing marketing only, then you will go on doing marketing, because you have spent years doing marketing. Even if you want to move out of marketing, it will be difficult. Even in marketing, you do a particular kind of product. If you are into consumer durables, then you get offered jobs in consumer durables marketing. You can't do fast moving consumer goods. So people tend to put labels on you. And when you spend years doing one particular kind or one particular field or one particular specialization, domain or sector, then it becomes difficult to change, very difficult to change. There are, again, so the flip side is, you might get bored and want to change but can't change. And the good side is, if there is demand, then you get choice over somebody who hasn't spent that much time. So it is safe in a way that if you are specialized in something and if there is demand for that specialization, you are the pick of the lot. So that's good. That is safety. The flip side is, you spend years doing it and you want to do something else, but nobody offers you that. So again, there are pros and cons. And so there are things like specialist, whether to be a specialist or a generalist. Specialists, being a specialist is of course good, in the sense that that means you have some depth and people want specialists. They will be in demand. If that specialty is in demand, then the specialist would be in demand. A specialist can be the head or reach the top of his field, but he can't be the overall guy. Then it would be difficult to be a CEO if you are only a specialist. A CEO has to be the overall guy. A businessman and entrepreneur can't be a specialist only. If you want to be the top guy, overall guy, CEO kind of a guy, then narrow specialization would not work. So then the generalist part comes in. But too much of generalist would not take you too far. So some people are saying you should be T-shaped. One speciality, one thing in which you are good at, and then acquire other things. So that you can't advance without having some specialty, some specialization. And then to advance, you have to pick up the other general stuff. Only then you can be the top guy, the CEO. Otherwise, you become the specialist in that particular field. You can become the top of the boss of HR, or the head of HR, or head of marketing, or head of quality, because you are a quality expert, or you're a marketing expert, or you're an HR expert, or you're operations expert. The CEO has to be the overall guy. So you can't be a CEO, you can be next to the CEO if you're purely specialized. So again, speciality and specialist or generalist has its own pros and cons. But somebody who is a pure generalist, no real depth in any area, it might be difficult to go too far. I mean, then there'll be maybe you get to some sort of a middle sort of a thing. Whether you pure generalist can be a CEO or not, very debatable, very unlikely. I don't know. While working, it's important, and for young people, to have a saving mindset, start saving money and start investing. That's a useful thing to do. This desire to spend everything and have all experiences at once and have all the fun right now, right here, that is the modern trend, as if there is no tomorrow, living like that. But then spending all your money and not having any savings has problems, because it is possible that you will lose your job, and if you don't have savings or investments, you will have problems. If you want to start a business, then your savings and investments help. Maybe that saving will help you as the seed fund, or even when you are doing business and you are not initially making money, the savings will help you take care of bread and butter issues. So savings and investment is a good habit to have right from the beginning of your career. And you will have chances to enjoy life, and don't have to have this feeling that everything has to be instant, some sort of adulthood maturity, postponement of gratification is necessary. I got a job, so whatever I'm getting, I must have fun and spend all my money, and spend money in doing things or buying things or traveling whenever I get leave and vacations and all that, as if I'm not going to get a chance later on. That sort of a thing, that sort of impatience might be dangerous, because later on, when things don't work out, when you don't have a steady job, and if you don't have money, there could be great financial distress. So you will get chance. Balancing is necessary. Don't be just focused on savings only. Try to have some fun, but don't go crazy about having fun. Some saving is good. So again, right balance. But being extremely thrifty or being extremely spendthrift, both extremes are to be avoided, I think. uh, you have to know that things change, technologies change, so keeping on learning and being ready to adapt is necessary, because the thing that you're doing is suddenly out, it's not in demand, the skill is out, so you have to be, and it can happen at any point of time after years of working, even when you are a middle-aged person. So these are dangers, real threats in society and the world. So you have to be willing to reinvent yourself, or be able to reinvent yourself, keep on learning new things, so that if the thing that you're doing is out of demand, you can switch over to something else. So keeping yourself alert, being you have to be able to learn new things and adapt quickly to survive. These things are important, because things do change and go out of fashion or go out of style or close down. So that is an important thing. Uh, to make for people who take up employment, work in a company, to make real money, you make money only when you change the company. I mean, you go to from one company to another, because increments don't go that high generally, and massive increments you don't get. You get standard increments. So if you want to really see a good hike in your salary, then switching the job is the only thing. Otherwise, I mean, generally, otherwise, you should be so important to the company that when you say that you want to quit, they don't want you to quit, and they offer you a reasonably good hike. Nobody offers you a hike just out of generosity. It doesn't happen unilaterally. No employer does that. They pay you money only if they have to. So if you are indispensable, they can't do without you, then they will try to retain you and they will give you a good hike. Otherwise, the normal increment is not going to really give you massive spurts in income. So to may have spurts in income, you have to switch companies, or be so important to your company, so crucial to them that they don't want to let you go. And when you threaten to go, they kind of have to match the offer or something like that. That's the way life works. That's the system. So there is bargaining and all that. Not very nice things, but this is the way life works. This is the reality, cold, hard reality. So to negotiate, you must have power.